Hey, welcome back to Legion AVS, Legion Films. What is our podcast called? The Legion Vodcast. Welcome to the Legion Vodcast. Today, you have me again, as always, Danny Burke, Director of Events and founding partner of Legion AVS, and Steve Turricci, who is the founding partner and Director of Creative Content, Director of Legion Films. And so last week, we talked about having a production partner and having somebody who can help you basically use your spend in the most productive way and get the most out of your dollars that are allocated towards production in the AV realm and that realm. And so this week we hit on something about, like, you know, an average multi-day conference, you're probably spending about $1 million on your travel, your food, your hotels, your AV, all of these things, your offsites. And so if you're going to be spending that kind of money, even less than that, right? Even if you're doing a smaller thing for a small group and it's $100,000, you should be investing in content capture and both videography and photography to be capturing content for marketing for future things. So how do we do that? How should people do it? What's the best approach?
Yeah, and I think there's... Thanks for asking, Dan. I think there's actually like two facets to that when it comes down to it. It's like you're making this big investment, and for that to be so fleeting and to not capitalize on that to drive your investment for the future year's event, especially if it's a recurring thing that you're going to be doing again, is one thing. But then also maximizing the investment that you're then making on site to generate even more for you in the long term. A lot of groups that we work with on the film side, we kind of formed our core service offering around events, being that we spun off from the AVS side of the company. And a lot of that was highlight videos and archives of the stage content so that it can be enjoyed by the audience after the fact. Instead of just saying, oh yeah, there was some guy there that said something cool, they can be like, oh, and here's the archive edit where I can rewatch this and share this with the people that I want to share it with. But then highlight videos to kind of tackle that FOMO aspect and getting people through the door for next time. And then the next thing, that
generating FOMO.
Yes, for the people who already missed out. Yeah, so generating that hype around your event is easiest to do when you're showing them what they missed from your previous event. You can't just be like, what a successful event we had, come next year. Right. Doesn't quite have the same impact of like, look, this is what we did, look at this beautiful thing, this excitement, the engagement that we had, which a lot of event planners, I think, get really tied up in the event planning, and getting it to the event day is when they're like, now I'm done. And they don't quite think past that, or there might sometimes be a disconnect between their marketing department and their event planning department, that it's often different budgets, different people, different end goals. So tying those resources and funding together is often really helpful. But what I was gonna say is, like, the next step is you now have all these very interesting people at your event that their travel's paid for, their hotel's paid for. You already have a video team. Now you got to think long term. What else can you get out of this that would be beneficial to your group? And something that we just started tackling with a very lovely long-term client of ours, I'll say their name, the Wildlife Conservation Network. They're a great nonprofit that funds animal conservation around the entire world.
Yeah, definitely one of the coolest clients ever.
They're so great to work with, and they've been a great partner with us. We do 2 events a year with them. And the conversation that I had with them recently was, you were flying these incredible people from all over the world to one location twice a year. Wouldn't it be great if we could capture more of their stories to help push the narrative of what your organization does and what your donor dollars do for those smaller organizations? And we kind of had this spark of like, well, we're already here. we're already going to be capturing some video content. So with just a tweak of how we're approaching the budget, we're now turning what was just going to be interviews for one piece of content into, well, let's ask this couple extra questions. Let's ask some smaller bite-sized pieces that are geared directly towards social content and keeping that marketing up. But then we're also going to be asking deeper dive questions about donor relations and organization relationships that are going to be cut into broader pieces of content for the end of the year event. So now we're self-funding our own content for the stage for next year to compound and make a more exciting show year over year.
Yeah.
Building that library too.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, like there's something, it's almost like once you realize it and once you think about it in that sense, because I've been doing events for 15 years. I never really thought about that, but like it makes so much sense to spend a little bit more money. And honestly, like it probably doesn't even have to come from your budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to the marketing department, like say, hey, like if we spend an extra $5,000 to get, an interview set up, get, some lights and grip and like do this properly, like we can get, what would typically cost $25,000 if we did this on a separate day. So like that's genius.
Yeah. And the split in savings is like, sometimes it's, just investing in that time to actually capture it when it's there. But oftentimes we're in positions that we're already there. It's just the forethought that needs to come through of like, hang on, what else can we do while we're here? What other questions can we ask? Because like around this one specific client, like these people are all over the world. So we're trying to make content with each of these individuals. That would be hundreds of thousands of dollars in travel and time and scheduling, and just making a day around each piece of content would be a whole feat in itself. But the fact that we have them all in their seats in this one location, it's a one of those, it's like a solar eclipse moment where we can really capitalize on, hey, let's think about the 30 pieces of content, our whole social content for the year, and what do we want that to look like. So like, not only are we going to be capturing for a piece of content that's about, thank yous to the donors for these individual nonprofits, but case studies on what each of these nonprofits does and how their interactions at this event benefit them. So while we have that one person in the seat, we're going to have them talking all about that. And then we get the B-roll of them on site interacting with donors outside. Now we have 12 case studies from this one day session on top of another 5-minute piece of content, another 5-minute piece of content, and 12 months of social content from the investment in one shoot.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we're happy to be busy for one day and work effectively for you, because it's more efficient for us to do it in one day than have me globetrot for a year to capture the same amount of content.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, and also like that's, I feel like, amazing for this nonprofit. And again, just like that's a great example of taking a budget and optimizing it, right? Like making it as efficient for our clients as possible. And that's incredibly valuable. But also I'd say like we've done some other cool things where, doing a multi-day conference and the day 3 keynote speaker is amazing. Can we, we're already paying 100, whatever our cost for that person is, rather expensive for like top tier keynote speakers. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, can you curate another hour of their time, right? They're on stage for an hour, like book them for another hour and do a sit down interview. And do a specialized piece of content that only goes to the people who attended the event. Like it's very, like it's, again, they're already there. Like take the time to just set up another thing and you can do that. And we've done that a few times now, and it's worked really, really well.
We did that with another one of our long-term clients with the group called Vistage, where they had a fantastic keynote speaker, and we were already there doing the highlight video at their big pillar event for the year. And the conversation was like, oh, well, like we want to do this shoot on the last day. Are you guys interested in doing this? And the answer was absolutely yes. We're already here. The gear's here. The people are here. The only change in cost was like adding like a half day rate and delaying our flights out to the end of the next day rather than the beginning of the next day. So like by that same flex, like we were able to minimize their budget for that. And it was just an add-on and another evergreen piece of content now that they have their moderator and their keynote speaker having a fireside chat that then went out to all their members as bonus content, which was crazy efficient, considering it was something else to get that audience to then look at their page again and consider going to the next year's event.
Right.
Because that was something else that they just hadn't seen that perspective of the conversation.
Well, it's just such a, like, there's someone speaking to an audience on stage and being recorded on camera they're speaking to the audience in the room, right? So when you get to have an intimate fireside chat, like it's just better video content. It's more engaging. It's just better in general for the attendee. And again, like it's not a lot of cost associated with it. And you just get an entire second piece of content that is so valuable. There's a lot of video content goes into events, both highlight videos and content capture and testimonials and things like that. But what about creating content leading up to the event, or even, creating content on, say, year 2024, capturing things at that event to play at year 2025? Or like, are there ways to, again, kind of thinking about leveraging long-term relationships, like to, say you have an opening video or, remarks from your CEO or something like that. Like, are there good ways to utilize a production partner to do those things? And can you make it efficient? And how so? I guess that also might, like, to tie that in, like maybe there's like multiple events a year or things like that. So
yeah, I mean, that's a big answer. Yes. No, and like other things that you can do on site, and like it really depends on what your organization is and what your end goals are. But we do a lot of work with groups that are associations and member oriented, and driving more content that is member focused to increase attendance and signing up and getting more members is always really good to get on site when you already have the captive audience. So things that we've done are like talking to attendees about their experience with your organization to create membership oriented videos for recruiting and driving that base, which, when you've already got them at your biggest event of the year, you've already got the camera team, pulling some people aside for walk and talk interviews or just over to the side of the ballroom really quick is a minimal time investment for maximizing that extra drive there. As far as pre-event content, there are really good ways to like maximize your, the value of your screen, and the value of your donor dollars. If you're sponsored dollars, donor dollars, depends on how your organization's formatted, what you call those. But really using that screen as a ROI asset, not just a big whiteboard. There's great ways that, if you're really capitalizing on having a high level sponsor, giving them a commercial during your event instead of just saying thank you and putting the name on the wall like a lot of groups do, which is great, and that's what some sponsors want. But you have an opportunity, whether it's something that you capture specifically for them or they give to you that's produced for your screens. That's a good way to really use video. Now, if I'm speaking as an advocate for our clients, I would say, yes, there is an investment of shooting that content yourself, but maximizing ROI for you and that cross-platform marketing after the fact is really where that investment comes in. Because if you have a donor that's a higher level or sponsor that's higher level,
or say it's somebody you're going after,
or
to,
someone
you
you're going
want
after,
to have be a donor.
being able to say that they get this commercial time is a big deal. But then after the fact, continuing that return on investment, if you're shooting it specifically for you, that's something that you can give to them to use, to share, and then you can share and host on your website or your social, that then maximizes their name recognition beyond your event too.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. So I totally forgot about this. We've been working with a client to do this, to basically, you know, they're trying to sell sponsorship to an event. And so we've helped them navigate sponsorship packages where it's a, hey, you donate $25,000, you're a diamond platinum, or, you know, diamond sponsor, and you get a video shoot. So you know, Legion's going to come out to your headquarters and shoot a video, and we'll create a commercial for you. And like, we do a lot of commercial work. So like, we have a couple commercials playing on TV right now. And so like, if you can, you know, it's not a humongous investment. So like, you know, $5,000 to $10,000, but you're going to get 25 out of it in sponsorship. So you're netting 20 to, you know, $15,000 to $20,000. And then, yeah, you get content that you can use to advertise for your event. And then they get content that you can use to advertise, to say, look how great we are in the community, or just even not that, just look at how great we are. Like, it could be a commercial, right? So like, there's a lot of ways to leverage video content in that regard as well.
Yeah. And jumping off of that, like, it all really comes down to engagement for your audience. And like, you know, a sponsor's really going to want to engage your audience. If they're sponsoring your event, your audience is probably their ideal audience. So, you know,
Right.
it's captive eyes. But yeah, and then similarly on keeping your audience engaged, there's a lot of things that you can do as just like an onstage moment. But if you have video elements, it really drives the audience engagement. Some fun things that we've done in the past with other clients is there's a lifetime achievement award for one of their long serving chair members, but we did like a Publishers Clearinghouse type ambush prior to the event to present them with the award that could play before the person received their award on stage. Because, you know, once they're already at the event, they know they're getting the award. The surprise is gone. It's out the window. But we were able to capture that surprise and really just like, hey, everybody, look at this. Like how appreciative they actually were and how much this meant to them. And then they can get up there and like thank everybody. Similarly, kind of giving context and more audience engagement. There have been events that we've done where they have a celebrity chef who's providing the menu. Well, everyone's heard the chef's name, but no one has gotten to actually see this person. So we shot like biography videos and intro videos for these celebrity chefs, where we got to go out and be at the home of this chef, and he got to talk about his inspiration behind the menu and show where he lived and what got him to think about these things, and now enjoy your meal. And he's in the kitchen. He obviously doesn't have time to come out on stage, but now you get the backstory and you feel more tied to the actual experience. All just very fun things. And like, even as simple as like, you know, someone who can't be there and you need to film them being there. You know, wish I could make it and so-and-so's out, but thank you for this. Like all the extra tie-ins of like, it doesn't have to just be words on stage. It can be visuals and story that actually makes it feel more engaging.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a ton of ways to leverage your time at an event to capture video, but then also just leveraging video at your events more. And thinking about, really, it's a shift from thinking about like just the event to thinking about your marketing and strategy, like a longer term plan. And again, that's like, I mean, that's the reason agencies exist. Like they're doing these things, right? So maybe just think about that kind of agency mindset a little bit more. And, you know, how can you get the biggest return on investment of your event, or for your event, right? How can you be bringing in more sponsor dollars for your event? How can you be bringing in more donors for your event? All of these things. How can you increase your attendance for next year. Like all of these things can be accomplished with video.
Yeah.
And that's, and at relatively low cost, especially compared to the investment you're already making for the event to go to be on.
It's such an easy jump if you're already halfway there.
Right.
if the people are already there, you're already
more
making
than
the
halfway.
investment.
You're 80%.
You're there. It's just that one extra question of what else can we do? What else should we do while we're here? It's just taking that extra step, and it seems like sometimes it's a big leap, but like once you're in that workflow of thinking of like, okay, well, what's going on next time? What are we showing people, or what's evergreen in this moment that will work for next time? And like, if you're already doing interview content, what's the one more question that I would want to hear an answer to that doesn't pertain to this but might be interesting on the next round?
Yeah, that's a great interview questions. And like that's just a note for anyone doing any content, right? Like if you're interviewing somebody, have a couple questions that are going to be able to be used for something that is not associated with what you're interviewing them for in that moment, right? So like, what do you love about X, Y, and Z? Just stuff that gives you evergreen content. All right. Well, I don't want to drag on, but I think this is incredibly valuable. I think that it's a hugely underutilized asset that like we have a bit of insight into because we do both. We do events and we do film, and we do both at a high level. Yeah. So we kind of get to see and say, hey, like I get to basically, I don't do film stuff. Like I don't know anything about, like I'm happy to not know anything about film, but it's great when I can say, hey, like we're going to be here. Like I need to have you talk to Steve because like we can be generating a lot of content for you. And, like we can be getting you more for your investment, because that is always the goal, right? It's always to spend the dollars in the most efficient way possible. So this is a great way to do that. So thanks for listening. Let us know your thoughts. How do you use video content? How do you use photography? What do you find are the best ways to get ROI from your events? Thanks for listening.